I like Pickens getting franchise tagged. I think they really need him in Dallas. He was a really good pairing with CeeDee Lamb. They also re-signed Javonte Williams, which I think is a good re-signing. He really like revitalized his entire career last year. That was really good to see now that he's finally healthy.
For George Pickens, this is the interesting one because the Cowboys have already paid CeeDee Lamb a bunch of money. They've already paid Dak Prescott a bunch of money. Are they willing to commit probably $35 million a year to Pickens? I don't really know. It sounds like they want him back with the Cowboys. Right now that franchise tag number is at 28 million, so not quite to that $35 million a year, but I'm sure Pickens and his agent are really fighting for 30 plus million. If you're the Cowboys though, do you give him that huge contract that he played his way into last year? He had an unbelievable season last year, 93 catches, over 1400 yards, 9 touchdowns, like a truly unbelievable season. Talk about a guy that balled out in the last year of his rookie deal, and now he's going to get paid. But Braden, if you were the Cowboys, are you committing to George Pickens long term?
Yeah, I mean, there's kind of two ways you can look at this. You can look at it way one, where it's like, look, he had an insane year last year. At times, he looked like he was better than CeeDee Lamb. Like, he looked like the wide receiver one of the Dallas Cowboys last year. It makes sense to want to keep him on the roster long term. Option number two, though, is you're kind of starting to turn into the Cincinnati Bengals, where it's like you have so much money tied to your quarterback and two receivers, and that's it. They have they're gonna tie themselves in a situation where they have like no more money to be able to build out the rest of the roster. Their defense is already starting to kind of crumble a bit after trading away Micah Parsons. I mean, they did have a pretty good run defense last year, but a pretty good run defense is not going to do you much when you are in the same division as the Eagles. And even like the Giants look like they're starting to build up a lot, something over there. So I, it's tough, but I feel like there are other places you need to spend your money right now than spending 28 to 30 million dollars on a wide receiver too.
Plus, if you think about the draft haul that they could get for Pickens right now,
Do like
like,
like a tag and trade sort of thing.
yeah, I mean, when I think of a trade for Pickens, I'm almost thinking that along the same lines of when Tyreek got traded from Kansas City to Miami, and it's like a first, a second, a fourth. I don't think Pickens is to the level of Tyreek, but there's no, you couldn't. I think Pickens is easily worth a first round pick and another mid round draft pick, or potentially a second or a third round draft pick. Like, I think he was that impactful for the Cowboys last year. Granted, Pickens has his highs are like he's a top 3 receiver in the NFL. His lows, dude's like not borderline unplayable, but like it's just very head scratching some of the stuff he does on the field.
Yeah, it's tough because like yeah, George Pickens is really talented, but we saw prime Stephon Diggs get traded for what, a first round pick,
Yeah.
like a first and a first and a fourth, or was it just a first?
Are you talking when he got traded from Minnesota to Buffalo?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think it was a first.
So do we think that George Pickens' value is higher than prime Stephon Diggs? Because I don't think it is. That is a high bar to beat. I feel
Right.
like we forget how good Minnesota Stephon Diggs was.
Yeah.
Like that was a really good talent. That fresh off the Minneapolis Miracle, like that was a very good wide receiver, and they are honestly lucky that they got insanely lucky they got Justin Jefferson out of that somehow. But anyways, back to my main point. It's tough to see George Pickens getting a better return than Minnesota got for Stephon Diggs. Although I can't really remember truly because it was kind of a while ago. I can't remember, like, did Stephon Diggs like request out of Minnesota or something? That feels like maybe
I'm
something
not
that happened.
I'm not
That
100%
that
sure.
sounds like something that could happen, knowing kind of what we know now about Stephon Diggs. But I don't really know for sure. We also know that kind of same thing about George Pickens. So
Right.
And he also was just traded for a 4th-round pick last year. So,
right. So the year before he got traded to Buffalo, I'm talking about Stephon Diggs. He had 63 catches, 1,100 yards, 6 touchdowns. So Pickens had an even better season than what Diggs had. I Granted, Diggs when he got to Buffalo had one of the better receiving seasons of the 2020s of 127 receptions, 1,500 yards, 8 touchdowns. Like truly balled out for the Bills and was kind of the reason the Bills offense and Josh Allen were able to finally get over the hump and get it to the AFC title game that year. But I'm not saying if you were to tell me to pick a percentage of Pickens stays in the Cowboys, like either if he signs a long-term deal or just signs the franchise tag or whatever, versus gets traded, I think it's like 80-20. But man, you look at some of these teams that are picking in the first round, like towards the end of the first round too, like honestly, your San Francisco 49ers make a lot of sense if they wanted to like swing for the fences and get an alpha number 1 wide receiver. Not saying that's where he's going to go. Buffalo makes a lot of sense because they don't have any receivers literally ever. You get 2 Khalil Shakir games a year, and it's like, oh, he's really good, and then falls off the face of the earth. So you could potentially have 3 first rounders in this draft, which would be kind of nuts, but I still think that Pickens is going to end up signing a long-term deal with the Cowboys. Whether I agree with it or not, I think that's how we're going to finish the offseason with the Cowboys.
yeah, my another thing I kind of want to add to the whole getting traded thing. I feel like teams are not going to forget how it ended with the Steelers, where it's like he was basically divaed his way out of Pittsburgh. A year of good production, yeah, that helps, but that doesn't completely wipe away that bad reputation that Pickens has. Especially,
Right.
he didn't exactly do a ton to prove that otherwise this year, other than have a great season. His value definitely has increased, obviously, but yeah, I feel like at first is a little bit too rich if they were to trade him. I think they could get multiple day 2 picks for sure, but at first just seems like a little much.
Yeah, and the one thing that I kind of forget to account for is whoever trades for him is going to have to hand him a massive contract. Like
That too.
the contracts can be worth over 100 million, probably over 120 million if I had to take a guess, whether that's a 4 or 5 year deal. So commanding that much money and giving up draft picks, I could see your reasoning why it could be just a couple day 2 picks, but there are some receiver needy teams out there that could potentially swing for the fences and get Pickens. But to sum up all my thoughts, I don't think he's going to get traded. I think the Cowboys are going to follow kind of like what you said, the Cincinnati Bengals path line, where it's just like, hey, we're just going to load up on offense and pray that our defense can get us 1 stop out of 10 and just see if we can outscore teams.